Is this the biggest crowd you've ever performed in front of?
This is the biggest crowd we've performed to all night.
I know you guys don't typically do interviews together, especially television interviews, so I'm honored and grateful and excited that you're here. And let's get started. Who is the least popular guy in the band? Who, like, if you had to kick... Well, if one guy had to be kicked out, who would be the guy out? I was at the concert on Sunday, and it seemed like you are still having a lot of fun. Are you, or are you faking that?
It's been that way since the beginning. In fact, I've done quite a bit of stuff outside of U2 soundtracks and guested on albums, but without a doubt, the most fun I ever have is working with these three guys.
With these guys, yeah. And Larry, it's hard to get a read on you because you're in the back playing drums. Do you ever feel left out back there? Is that a fun place to be, or is it lonely? Open up to us.
It's it's a bit of a stretch from the back to the front.
Yeah.
You know, but there are some disadvantages.
What are the disadvantages?
Well, for 40 years, I've had to look at these guys' asses.
Changing shape?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, and you know...
Who's do you like the best?
Well, one of the things that fascinates me is how gravity works.
I was kind of at your show. In 1987, I was a student at Arizona State University where you shot, rattle, and hum.
Right.
And I was a mobile DJ. I did, like, weddings and Christmas parties and that kind of thing. And I had to work that night. It had been scheduled for a long time, and I was heartbroken that I couldn't come to the show. But I got off work, and I drove to Sun Devil Stadium, and I sat in the parking lot with my windows down and listened to, like, the last 30 minutes of your show alone.
Thank you.
It was one of the few things I remember from college, but really also one of the best things I remember from college. And I feel like I owe you guys like $28 or something for
$5. It's on us.
It was a $5 ticket. I remember.
It was $5.
Really?
That's right. It was $5, and everybody went crazy. Yeah, it's crazy that you remember it was $5.
Yeah, no, it hurt.
I described your show earlier as feeling like a religious experience, and I felt like that every time I've seen you guys. And the only other concert I've felt that way is at Bruce Springsteen. And I think you guys, there are a lot of similarities. Do you guys feel a kinship with Bruce?
Boss. We call him the boss.
Yes, with the boss, of course.
We call him the boss. We don't have a boss in this band, so we like to think of him as our boss.
You think of it. Have you, I mean, do you know him well? Is he a guy that you've really spent time with?
So much advice, really, from him over the years. I remember Bruce saying to us, sitting us down, and we asked him for his best advice, and he said, "Don't do television." really and truly, that's what he said. I'm not just saying that.
Don't ever listen to him.
Advice he and we didn't take later on in our life, but I asked him why, and he said, "Don't give other people the ability to turn you up or down." He said they could be making a cup of coffee and you're in there telling your story. But they don't do that on the Kimmel Show.
No, we don't have a volume control. You know, you guys did something that same year in 1987 that I loved. You opened for yourselves, and this is something that you can't do anymore. But you guys performed as a country quartet. Is that correct?
Where did you get that photograph?
And this is a group you called the Daltons.
Yes.
As correct me if I have any of this wrong. Adam, you look like the Dalton sister in the group there.
Betty Dalton.
I'm Betty Dalton.
Oh, Betty was your name.
They ran out of cowboy hats and gave me a wig. And then there's this single piece of fabric, which I didn't really know what to do with, so I just wrapped it round, and, you know, I discovered cross-dressing.
Whatever you did.
Very good at it.
Did the audience know it was you guys?
No. I mean, there was about 10 people in the front who figured it out halfway through the second song, but it was amazing to perform to 25, 30,000 people who were all completely ignoring you.
It was supposed to be Los Lobos, which are a great band, great
Yeah,
Mexican
sure.
American band, and they had trouble, I think, getting to the show, and we were like, what are we going to do? I think it was Edge's idea.
I said it as a
And,
joke. It was like, what about we open for ourselves? And Bono said, let's do it. And the next thing...
I was Dalton, I remember that.
Whoa.
Yeah,
The desert weed
No,
has
taken its toll. Duke Dalton.
Duke Dalton's a solid
And
name.
you were Luke.
Luke, I was
There
like,
you
Duke
go.
and Luke. Duke, Luke, Alton, and Betty.
We had a song which we made up on the spot about B.B. King's guitar called Lucille. Oh, if I can remember it. Oh, Lucille, come sit you right down with me. Stay tonight until the morning's early light. I hope our love will last forever. But will our love, Lucille, last tonight? You got it.
You two is here. We'll be right back. U2 is here tonight. The Joshua Tree Tour is underway. So, as you know, there was another senseless terrorist attack in Manchester yesterday, and I would imagine that's something you guys have been thinking about. Certainly.
They hate music. They hate women. They even hate little girls. They hate everything that we love. And, you know, the worst of humanity was on view in Manchester last night, but so was the best, as people took perfect strangers into their houses and queued up for blood banks. And Manchester has a undefeatable spirit, I can assure you.
You all grew up in Ireland, of course, where they had their share of troubles. Is that something that affected your songwriting, that shaped the way you approached music? Because certainly your music was not the typical music of the 80s.
It was so commonplace for a number of years that it just became this constant background to life, and occasionally something particularly awful would happen, and it would really affect you. But that was almost the worst of it. You got to the place where it was just ongoing, every week, every month. But
Jake Burns, you remember the singer of the incredible band called Stiff Little Fingers? He said that the cure to the troubles in Northern Ireland was 1,000 punk bands formed. And it's kind of in music, you know, all that sort of division disappeared. We learned that. We were quick to that. It made us suspicious of partisanship. It made us suspicious of sectarian ideas and people in churches that, you know, there's one church that's just smashed into 1,000 pieces. It's the kind of way we started to see things.
Larry, you started this band when you were how old?
14.
14 years old. Amazing. And Adam, you were the band's first manager, right?
Yeah, I didn't have much use for school at the time. My attendance wasn't very good. I had this extra time, and I thought I could get the lads into television early on.
And were you a good manager? I suppose maybe I should ask all of you that question. Was Adam a good manager?
I thought he was a great manager. I mean, he had business cards printed up.
Age 17.
And I lived near Adam, so the two of us would go on little excursions into the city centre looking for gigs and hoping that we might bump into Thin Lizzy or Rory Gallagher on the street and we might get some advice. So,
Yeah, I know, Bono, I've heard your story of how you travel around the country and you spoke to many senators, many conservatives, many Republicans in your fight against AIDS to help you. You worked with not only President Clinton, but really with President Bush very closely. Is President Trump someone you would like to meet with and work with?
Yeah, the one campaign, we worked with everybody and we got on our board, we've conservatives and liberals, and our thinking is that you just need one thing to agree with somebody on to start a conversation. And the fight against extreme poverty we thought was worth a conversation with anybody. However, everything's different now, and it really is. The game has changed, and I have so much respect for a lot of the people who voted President Trump into office. I really understand the anger. I have some of that anger myself coming from where we came from. I understand people being disillusioned with the political process, and they think the body politic is sick and whatever, but I don't think President, if you'll allow me to say this I don't think he's the cure for this problem, and I think he might even make it worse. And I don't think there's any evidence in his life that he has the people who are hardest hit in mind, and that really saddens me, because I know he likes to see their faces in the crowd, but I don't think he wants to know who they are when they go home, and that saddens me. And again, it's with great respect for Republicans that I know and love, and their party I admire, and it's just, this is a different thing. It's just, it's
I get the sense that you guys love America more than 99% of the Americans that I know. We're going to talk about that when we come back. U2 is here. We'll be right back. They're all here. This is the new box set, the Joshua Tree. This is the heaviest thing I've ever lifted. I cannot even describe it. There's some kind of matter in here that's heavier than, I don't know, what's going on in this,
the Ark of the Covenant.
It's got serious content there.
The Daltons are all in here. Yeah, this is a serious box set.
It took a couple of years to put together.
Yeah, it's going to take a couple years to carry it out. The Amazon guy's going to want to kill you when he has to deliver this to people's houses. You guys have, you've done so many things. It's crazy. I know you're interested in art, and you're interested in all these different things. When are you going to put out another album? Now, You're starting now to inconvenience us. I know you have an album ready, right?
Speak to the Edge.
Well,
dude.
Yeah, Edge,
I
tell
have
us.
to say, it will be out definitely within the next 27 years. I can't be more specific than that.
When we
There's
were
a lot
working,
of work to be done.
We do an annual special to benefit Red, and we were working on it. And Bono was nice enough to play me about 5 or 6 songs. And I'm not exaggerating. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. You've got to put this out immediately. And that was like 18 months ago.
Yeah. No, Edge would still be mixing the album years after it's out. In fact, the whole reason for throwing a birthday party for our very own yucca plant was to get him out of the studio in so many ways. Because now, will you agree, The Edge, having been separated from your bits, from your digital life, that actually, and seeing real people,
Human,
in their bodies, it's better, isn't it?
It's better.
Is it better? I hope you're right. I hope it is better. All right. We're going to take another break, and we'll be right back. U2 is here. The 30th anniversary of the Joshua Tree comes out June 2nd. We'll be right back. This is the album that we're talking about tonight. 30 years ago, this album came out and made U2 the biggest band in the world. I was looking at the cover, and I wondered, is this a great album cover because the album is great, or is it just a great cover on its own?
I remember a different thing about that cover, because Anton Corbijn, the great Dutch photographer, took that. We'd be laughing, and he would never take our photograph when we were laughing. And I'd say, why can't we just look like light? He says, because I'm shooting the music, not you, dummy. And then, we would sort of do that face when people, we'd be walking down the line, we'd do that face. And I remember our manager, Paul McGuinness, at the time saying, Bono, he said, be careful not to appear as the band too stupid to enjoy being at number one.
That's very good advice. So you had the very same photographer shoot video for the concert tour.
Yeah.
And I think we have, let's go to that right now. Now, that is, I mean, that's just a beautiful photograph on its own. Tell me about that. Where is this happening?
See, this is, we love America. I think this is, you say, this is why we're allowed to talk about America. As we come here, we're like the pilgrims in one sense. For Irish people, you know, America's a promised land. And I feel like an annoying fan sometimes following America into the bathroom
Yes,
with the
stop doing
liner
that.
notes saying, you know, you didn't play the Declaration of Independence. You know, I'm that guy. We're that group. And we love this country. And we love the landscape. But it's not just physical landscape, it's the psychological landscape. It's a spiritual landscape.
It is.
And these Joshua trees. He couldn't say the word Joshua, by the way. He said Joshua tree, which is one of the reasons why we called it Joshua tree, because it kept making us laugh. It's that simple. Am I right or wrong?
It's
Yeah.
a beautiful landscape, isn't it?
It really is.
I feel like we're kind of in the way. Can we...
That's beautiful.
You're
Oh,
definitely
blocking
in the
it?
way. Yeah, would you
Oh.
mind?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what I should do. But...
I think you are.
All right, we'll play one of the desert songs for you. Thank you for letting us into your lives over these years. Thank you for letting us into your homes tonight. We want to play for you now a gospel song with a restless spirit. I have climbed the highest mountains. I have run through the fields, only to be with you. Only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls, these I wanted to be with you. Just to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Finish it off now, c'est le choir.
Here with the first ever television performance of The Little Things That Give You Away from the forthcoming album. We don't know when it's forthcoming. Songs of Experience. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, U2.
I give you a song, a light had been turned on. You walked out in the world like you belong there, as easy as a breeze. Each heart was yours to please. Is it only me who sees there's something wrong there? Oh la la la, not a ghost now. I can see you. You need to see me. It's the little things give you away, the words you cannot say, your big mouth in the way. It's the little things tease and betray, as often I become the prey. It's the little things that give you away. I saw you on the stairs, you didn't notice I was there. That's 'cause you were talking at me and not to me. You were high above the storm, a hurricane being born. But this freedom, it might cost you your liberty. It's the little things give you away, the words you cannot say, your big mouth in the way. It's the little things tease and betray, as often I become the prey. It's the little things that give you away. Sometimes I can't believe my existence, see myself from a distance. I can't get back inside. Sometimes the air is so anxious, all my thoughts are so reckless, and all of my innocence is died. Sometimes I wake at 4 in the morning, where all the darkness is swarming, and it covers me in fear. Sometimes, sometimes, sometimes I'm full of anger and grieving, so far away the end is here.